Hey up, it's Steve from the Old Yorkshire Geek, and it's list time again, yay! This time it's a list from Screen Rant, 10 actors in Star Trek and Babylon 5, and I'm thinking, only 10? Obviously it's their top 10 maybe, I don't know, but so here we go, we'll just get into it, shall we? So I'll get it up, so to speak. There we go, Screen Rant, 10 actors in Star Trek and Babylon 5, there's miles more. I've got a list, and it's quite a long list of more than we've got here, but there's some odd ones missed out from this article. Anyway, this is by Mark Donaldson. So off we go. Despite the apparent rivalry between them, multiple actors from Star Trek have crossed over into Babylon 5 and vice versa. Created by J. Michael Straczynski, Babylon 5 premiered in 1994 and ran for 5 seasons. A much-loved series from the 90s heyday of science fiction drama on network television, Babylon 5 was never quite as big as their contemporary Star Trek TV shows. But B5 had major crossover appeal for fans, not least among the various Trek alumni connected with the show. For example, Star Trek the original series writers D.C. Fontana, David Gerrold and Harlan Ellison all wrote episodes of Babylon 5. While it may be exaggerated, the rivalry between the two sci-fi properties was rooted in accusations that Star Trek Deep Space Nine plagiarised Babylon 5. However, J. Michael Straczynski, Rick Berman and Michael Piller all concede that the similarities between DS9 and Babylon 5 were likely an unfortunate coincidence. I don't know if that's true or not, but it probably was. It's quite common in Hollywood for similar things or similar ideas to all spawn at the same time. It's weird. It's like there must be some psychic thing going on in Hollywood sometimes. In a year you'll get several films with a similar theme. For instance, in 1989 we had The Abyss, Leviathan, and what's that other one? Deep Star 6, all underwater themed films. And then you had stuff like Volcano and Dante's Peak coming out around the same time. And then you had Armageddon and Deep Impact coming out around the same time. So it's weird. Anyway, still, the similarities between the two heavily serialised space station shows are inescapable, but DS9 and Babylon 5 each have their own unique stories and characters, even if they do occasionally share the odd guest star in common. It's more than odd, there's a lot. As I said, I've got a list. We'll go through this and then I'll go through my list. And it's not a complete list. I just looked up the actors on IMDb for Babylon 5, and ones that stood out to me. Ones that I thought, I'm sure I've seen them in Star Trek. I made a note of them. And I didn't get all the way down the list. I thought, I better get on and do this video. So there'll be a lot more as well. But anyway, so off we go. Number 10. You'd think this would be number 1. It mustn't be in any. It must be a list that's not in any order, I imagine. Number 10 is the most famous one in Star Trek's Walter Koenig in Babylon 5. He played Alfred Bester in Babylon 5, and here's some pictures. There he is as Pavel Chekhov, Ensign Chekhov. He started off in season 2, didn't he, of Star Trek, and there he is as Bester, one of the top villains in Babylon 5. He were great as Bester. There he is again as Bester, and there's Chekhov in his little Lord Fauntleroy costume in Star Trek 3. Yeah, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. God knows why he's wearing that. It's bloody awful. And there he is from Star Trek 4, where he's waiting to be beamed out. He's on the USS Enterprise aircraft carrier. It wasn't, it was the Ranger, but never mind. Right. Walter Koenig is best known for playing Pavel Chekhov in Star Trek, the original series, and 7 Star Trek movies. And, of course, don't forget, he was in Moontrap with Bruce Campbell. Great film. While less globally famous than Chekhov, Alfred Bester was one of Babylon 5's best-loved recurring characters. Walter Koenig's... I'm swapping between Koenig and Koenig, because I've heard it pronounced both ways. Anyway, Koenig. Walter Koenig's notorious psychop first appeared in Babylon 5, Season 1, Episode 6, Mind War, in which he boarded the station to track down a fugitive telepath. Oh, I've forgotten his name. Jason Steelheart, something like that, wasn't it? Koenig went on to appear in 12 episodes of Babylon 5, his final episode being the best eccentric, the core is mother, the core is father. Walter Koenig was supposed to appear in the Babylon 5 spin-off Crusade, but the series was cancelled before his episode was filmed, because it wasn't very good, to be completely honest. I watched it, it wasn't a patch on Babylon 5. It was a bit goofy, but it tried. I think it tried a bit too hard, to be completely honest. Anyway, J. Michael Straczynski specifically wrote the character of Alfred Bester for Star Trek's Walter Koenig after the actor was unable to play Night 2 in Babylon 5, Season 1, Episode 8, and The Sky Full of Stars. I can tell you who played Night 2 because it's in my other list. Then, I'm going to have to look down here now. I think it was Christopher Neame who ended up playing Night 2. So there you go. It says here. It says further down. It worked out great for Koenig, who got to become the recurring character that the regulars and the audience loved to hate. Interestingly, the role of Night 2 went to Christopher Neame, who went on to play Unferth in Star Trek Voyager Season 1, Episode 11, Heroes and Demons, and the German General in Star Trek Enterprise Season 4, Episodes 1 and 2, Stormfront. I've got him in my list. I didn't think they'd mention him. Anyway, that's one from my list, Christopher Neame. Right, number 9, Babylon 5's Tracy Scoggins in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, playing Galora Rejal. There they are. There she is, oddly enough, a kind of attractive Cardassian, which I suppose is fair enough. They were kind of engineers, I think. She got the hots, I think, for, very good, for O'Brien, I think. But, there we go. And there she is as Captain Elizabeth Lockley in Babylon 5. From Season 5, she came on board, didn't she, to take over. The ex-wife of John Sheridan. Anyway, here we go. Tracy Scoggins is best known for playing Captain Elizabeth Lockley in both Babylon 5 and Crusade. However, in the years before she debuted in Babylon 5 Season 5, Tracy Scoggins played a Cardassian scientist in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 3, Episode 15, Destiny. Galora Rejal was a memorable DS9 character because she became attracted to Chief Miles O'Brien Colum Meaney, challenging the character's anti-Cardassian prejudice and his commitment to his wife Keiko Rosalind Chow. Note, while playing Galora, they spelt it 3 different ways. No, they haven't. No, they haven't, sorry. They spelt it 2 different ways. They spelt it... Unless that's an I. It's an I that just looks weird. Never mind. Ignore me. Galora Rejal was a memorable DS9. I've just read that. While playing Galora Rejal, Tracy Scoggins walked the Paramount lot in her Cardassian makeup, trying to frighten the school kids who would pass by on buses. Probably didn't work. They probably went, "Ooh, a Cardassian, look." Tracy Scoggins' Star Trek Deep Space Nine role was also notable because she appeared alongside Twin Peaks' Wendy Roby as fellow scientist Ulani Belor. Destiny was also the second of Eric Avari's 3 Star Trek appearances, another one that's in my list. Avari went on to star in Babylon 5 before Scoggins signed on, guesting as Rabbi Leo Mayers in Season 3, Episode 20, and The Rock Cried Out No Hiding Place. Scoggins recently reprised the role of Elizabeth Lockley for the Babylon 5 animated movie The Road Home, which were okay. Right, number 8. By the way, Eric Avari played... he's in my list as well, is he? He was in Enterprise. He played Jamin, or Jamin, I can't remember how it was pronounced, in the episode Terra Nova. He played Vedek Yarka in Deep Space Nine and Bajik in Next Generation Unification. I can't remember the Deep Space Nine one. It mentions it there, doesn't it? But it doesn't say what episode it was. Or was it Destiny? Yeah, Destiny. There we go. Right, Star Trek's Majel Barrett. Start that again. Star Trek's Majel Barrett Roddenberry in Babylon 5, playing Lady Morella, and there she is. Was she the wife of the Emperor? Something like that, wasn't she? She was related to him in some way. There she is with a Nan. guard, because this obviously in the time when I think Babylon 5 had split away from Earth, hadn't it? And so they'd taken on Narn as security. And there she is as Troy. Luxana Troy. My mind blank for a minute. And there she is, Christine Chappell in Star Trek The Motion Picture, and there she is as number 1 in Star Trek The Cage, which I still think is the best on-screen science fiction, either TV or movies, of the 1960s. I think it's even better than 2001, I do, and Planet of the Apes and all that. I think The Cage is amazing. I do. Anyway, right, off we go. Dubbed the First Lady of Star Trek, Majel Barrett Roddenberry appeared in Babylon 5, Season 3, Episode 9, Point of No Return. At this stage in her career, Majel Barrett was best known for playing the flamboyant Betazoid diplomat Ambassador Luxana Troy in both Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek Deep Space Nine. She also did the computer voice on Berman-era Star Trek. I think she might have done it in the original series as well, to be completely honest. Anyway, in Babylon 5, Barrett played Lady Morello, the wife of the late Emperor Turhan, much like Luxana Troy. Emperor Turhan died in Season 2, by the way. Much like Luxana Troy in TNG, Morello also had telepathic gifts, seeing into the mind of Londo Malari, Londo Malari, isn't it? Not Morali. Londo Malari, Peter Jurassic, and delivering a prophecy about his rise to Emperor. I think it might be that one where she says that both Malari and Veer will both become Emperor. I think it's that one. So there we go. Majel Barrett's appearance in Babylon 5 was heralded by a press release via Midwinter declaring that the First Lady of Star Trek makes a royal visit to Babylon 5. While the rivalry between Star Trek and B5 was likely exaggerated in the entertainment press back in the 1990s, it did add a suitable degree of drama to her casting as Lady Morello. In the 1996 press release, J. Michael Straczynski highlighted how her appearance should bring the rival fans together. Read Straczynski's quote below, and we will do that. We're very pleased to have Majel appearing in Babylon 5 because, as the wife of Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry, her appearance on our show will help dispel the notion, held by some, that one cannot be a fan of both series. Majel and I discussed this between us, and we both view this rivalry as unproductive. We are both extending our hands across our respective fictional universes in a show of solidarity, so we're very happy that she has chosen to endorse Babylon 5 in this way, and hope that science fiction viewers of all stripes will check out the series. I think most Star Trek fans enjoy Babylon 5, and vice versa. There'll be some that don't like him, will there?
Derek! Babylon 5's a big pile of shit! Get out! Yay!
Right, number 7. Babylon 5's Bill Mumy in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, playing crewman Kellin. There he is. That's crewman Kellin. This is the siege of AR Doo. Yes, I think it is, isn't it? And there he is with Esri Dax. This is obviously Season 7. There he is as Lanier in Babylon 5, Ambassador Delen's aide. And he also fell in love with her and kind of went off the rails a bit towards the end, didn't he? Anyway, although still probably best known for playing Will Robinson in Lost in Space, Danger Will Robinson, Bill Mumy played the regular character of Lanier in Babylon 5. He's also heavily involved in Ancient Aliens somehow. I don't know. His name's always there in the credits at the end. I don't know what he does, but his name's there. Nobody really knows what happened to Lanier after he went rogue in Babylon 5 Season 5 Episode 21, Objects at Rest. However, what happened? He fell in love with... he was in love with Delen, and obviously she'd gone on to marry... Sheridan, who in Season 5 had become President Sheridan of the Alliance, whatever they call it, Interstellar Alliance, and he was jealous about this, and he tried to kill President Sheridan. He tried to, I think he trapped him in an airlock. He did something and trapped him, and obviously changed his mind, but he felt guilty about it, so he went off. He'd become a ranger by this point, by the way, so he went off to wonder the universe, doing good, or whatever. Anyway, however, linear actor Bill Mumy went on to appear in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 7, Episode 8, The Siege of AR-558, as crewman Kellen. Mumy was a friend of DS9 showrunner Ira Stephen Bear, he of the blue beard, and the two men had wanted to work together for quite some time. The end of Babylon 5 finally allowed them to fulfill this ambition. Why the end of? Why couldn't they do both at the same time? Others had. Note, Bill Mumy had previously co-written a Star Trek comic book with Peter David in which the USS Enterprise A encountered aliens resembling the cast of Lost in Space. I'm not a big fan of Star Trek comics for the most part, because they do stuff like that. Maybe I'm just a misery guts. Bill Mumy's only stipulation for appearing in Star Trek Deep Space Nine was that he play a human character, having spent years in the heavy Minbari headdress and alien prosthetics on Babylon 5. Mumy's appearance in DS9 is hugely memorable, as the Siege of AR-558 is perhaps the bleakest hour of Star Trek ever made, harrowing depiction of warfare. The classic DS9 episode pushed Star Trek into new territory, and Bill Mumy's likeable Kellen and his tragic fate helped to emphasise the devastation. I think that's the episode where Nog lost his leg, didn't he? It was, it was about the futility of war, basically, wasn't it? There were, on both sides, people dying for nothing, essentially. Anyway. Number 6, Star Trek's Jeffrey Combs. I still don't know how to pronounce it. I always say Coombs, but it's spelled Combs. But anyway, in Babylon 5, playing Harriman Gray. And there he is. Of course, we know him as many different characters in Star Trek. There he's in B5. There he's as Weyoun in Deep Space Nine. There he's as Shran in Enterprise. As my best character in Enterprise, in my opinion. There he is as... I can't remember his name. Brunt in Deep Space Nine. Liquidator Brunt, there we go, with his Nausicaan guards. Back to the beginning again. Right. Jeffrey Combs is one of Star Trek's most prolific guest stars, playing the iconic recurring characters Brunt, Weyoun. I should have just read down, shouldn't I? Brunt, Weyoun and Shran. However, before Jonathan Frakes cast Jeffrey Combs in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, the star played the telepathic Harriman Gray in Babylon 5 Season 1 Episode 16, Eyes. Gray was a Psychor liaison with Earth Force who arrived at Babylon 5 to test the loyalty of Commander Jeffrey Sinclair, Michael O'Hare, and his crew. However, Gray realised that his mission was driven by the petty motivations of his superior and ultimately helped the Babylon 5 crew to turn the tables. Cool. I vaguely remember that episode. That might be that episode where Ivanova refused to be scanned because she was a latent telepath. It will come out. It could be that episode. Anyway, right. Number 5, Star Trek's Robin Curtis in Babylon 5. She played Ambassador Kalika. I wish they wouldn't use this font because it makes the eyes look like L's. Anyway, there she is. And there she is as Savick Mark II. That's in the end of Star Trek 3. That isn't it? Is it? Yes, I think it's the end of Star Trek 3. And that's the beginning of Star Trek 4. And there she is. I can't remember the name of the character, but I can't remember the name of the episode either. It's a 2-parter where she plays. I think she's supposed to be Vulcan, but she's playing she looks like a Romulan, but I think she's supposed to be Vulcan disguised as a Romulan. I could be wrong. I've forgotten. Gambit. It's a 2-parter. I think it's that one. Good me. I always remember this one because it's where Captain Picard is described as human, 2 meters tall, and I don't think Patrick Stewart's 6'6", but anyway, there we go. There she is. Right, the second of Star Trek's 2 Savick actors, Robin Curtis, appeared as Ambassador Kalika in Babylon 5 Season 1 Episode 9, Death Walker, which also had what's her face? It'll come to me. Sarah Douglas. I also had Sarah Douglas as the Death Walker, didn't it? Curtis's character was the spokesperson for the League. It says here for the League of Non-Allied Worlds, who wished to have the war criminal Jadeur, Sarah Douglas. I should just learn to just read on, shouldn't I? I try to be clever and remember things. Executor for their crimes. Kalika butted heads with Commander Sinclair over the suitable punishment for the Deathwalker's crimes. She what? I can't remember the name of the race. Before the Earth Midbari War, the Earth had been involved in the conflict with somebody else, and Earth had dealt with them quite easily, I think. I forgot what they're called, but anyway. Eventually winning out when the Vorlons destroy Jadeur's ship. What race? I can't remember. I can't remember. I'll put it there if I can remember, if I can find out. Right, number 4, Star Trek's Vaughn Armstrong in Babylon 5. I think Vaughn Armstrong is the record holder for playing most different aliens in Star Trek. But anyway, plays security guard number 1 in B5. There he is, as security guard number 1. And then again, going up against Michael Garibaldi. Because I think he was one that he was like a bit too loyal to Earth. I think he was part of the Night Watch, I think. Which were the Earth baddies. So anyway, and there is as Admiral Forrest in Enterprise, and there is as I can't remember his name, but I think it's the Voyager episode, The Eye of the Needle. I can't remember the name though of the Romulan that he plays in that, and there's as a Klingon. And there's something else. That's the episode where I don't ask me to remember in Enterprise. I think it's the one where. It's one I generally skip, to be completely honest, where Archer, he took his dog down to the planet and it basically peed on a tree, so he had to go through all this ritual to apologise. Stupid episode. And there he is as a Cardassian. I'm sure it'll tell us. Right, Vaughn Armstrong played Klingons, Romulans, humans, Cardassians and many more across multiple Star Trek shows between 1988 and 2005. However, Armstrong also played security guard number 1 in Babylon 5 Season 3, Episode 8, Messages from Earth, and Episode 9, Point of No Return. Although Vaughn Armstrong's Babylon 5 character didn't have a name, he played a pivotal role in the episodes as a high-ranking member of Night Watch. This team took over Babylon 5 security from Chief of Security Michael Garibaldi, Jerry Doyle, until Captain John Sheridan, Bruce Boxleitner led a coup and shipped them all back to Earth. Cool. Right, number 3, Babylon 5's Tamlyn Tomita in Star Trek, playing Commodore O, who were posing as a Vulcan, but she was actually Romulan, wasn't she? This was in Star Trek Picard, wasn't it? And there she is. There she is as the Commodore O. And there again. God, I hated it. Bloody rubbish. But there she is in Babylon 5. I can't remember the name of the character. It'll tell us in a minute. But I think she was just in the pilot episode, The Gathering, I think. I think she will be replaced by Susan Ivanova, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm sure it'll tell us now anyway. Tamlyn Tomita played Lieutenant Commander Laurel Takashima in the Babylon 5 pilot movie The Gathering. Remember, that's the one where Delenn looked completely different and not attractive at all. Thank God they changed it for the series. Anyway, when the pilot led to a full series order from the network, Tomita declined to return as Takashima. Tamlyn Tomita's Babylon 5 character was subsequently adapted into Lieutenant Commander Susan Ivanova, played by Claudia Christian. More recently, Tamlyn Tomita played the villainous Commodore O in Star Trek Picard Season 1. Interestingly, had Tomita stayed on Babylon 5, her character, much like O in Picard, would have been revealed to be a traitor. Oh, I didn't know that. Was that in the works? Was that part of Straczynski's plan for her? He must have said so. Note, Babylon 5, Susan Ivanova actress Claudia Christian was one of several actresses who auditioned to play Jadzia Dax in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Obviously that role going on to Terry Farrell, the lovely Terry Farrell, I think is one of the most beautiful women in all of creation. I do, but anyway. Number 2, Star Trek's Dwight Schultz in Babylon 5, playing Amos. Yes, it was, in Brown Sector, or whatever they called it. There he is. He could hear something. He could hear, I think there was some aliens or something like that. Something going on, wasn't there? And he could hear them because of something in him. But I can't remember It'll tell us, won't it, in a minute. There he is as Reg Barclay. And again, that's obviously from a Voyager episode. So he's probably a hologram there, I imagine. But anyway, there we go. Right, still best known as Howling Mad Murdoch in the A-Team and Lieutenant Reginald Barclay in Star Trek, Dwight Schultz played Amos in Babylon 5 Season 2, Episode 5, The Long Dark. Amos was a traumatised veteran of the Earth-Minbari War who had been left mentally scarred by his interactions with the terrifying creature. Schultz gave an affecting performance as Amos, bringing the vulnerability and heightened mania that he had previously brought to the character of Barclay in TNG. I can vaguely remember the episode, but it's eluding me. Anyway. Moving on. Number 1, Babylon 5's Andreas Katsulas in Star Trek, playing Tomalak. And he played others as well, I'm sure he had. I'm sure he played more than Tomalak in Star Trek. Sure he did. Anyway, there he is as Jakar in Babylon 5, and there's Malari alongside. They hate each other, but also can't live without each other, sort of thing. And they would go on to, spoilers, kill each other, throttle each other to death. And there's Veer in between. Veer! There he is as Tomalak, commander or whatever, and also, I think we're only an admiral in a vision of the future that wasn't real, which is this one. I can't remember the name of the episode. Is that the one with the kid? The alien kid with Riker, where Riker thought he'd lost his memories of the last 15 years or whatever. It's that one. Anyway, there he is as Jakar. One of the most beloved characters, probably the most beloved character in Babylon 5. Started out as a baddie, Season 1, because that's what happened with the Narn in Season 1. They were kind of like the baddies. But it just showed how things can turn. We didn't like the Narns. They were baddies and aggressive, and they wanted to expand their territory and all that stuff. And they were coming up against the Centauri, who were kind of comical a little bit because they were more human, both looking and the way they acted, than the Narn. So we kind of empathised with them more as they went up against the Narn. But then it all turned when Malari was asked, "What do you want?" by the Shadows, and he told them what he wanted, and suddenly the Centauri were the baddies and the Narn became the goodies. Anyway, so there we go. Anyway, off we go. Andreas Katsulas is best known for playing Jakar in Babylon 5, but he also appeared in 4 episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. In Babylon 5, Jakar and Londo were arch rivals, and Katsulas' Next Generation character had a similar relationship with Captain Jean-Luc Picard Patrick Stewart. Andreas Katsulas played the Romulan commander Tomalak, who faced off against the crew of the USS Enterprise D twice. Both times threatening to destroy Picard and his crew. Katsulas' last appearance as Tomalak was in TNG's series finale All Good Things, which aired in 1994, the same year that Babylon 5 premiered. There we go, it's telling us there. Future Imperfect, that was that one I were on about, where they were Admiral Tomalak. Andreas Katsulas returned to the Star Trek universe in 2003, playing Drennick in Star Trek Enterprise Season 2, Episode 22, Cogenitor. Drennick was a Vissian whose species had a third gender, Cogenitor, many of whom were poorly treated. Sadly, Andreas Katsulas' last Star Trek role was one of his TV appearances, as he died from lung cancer in 2006, with Babylon 5's Jakar, TNG's Tomalak, and the one-armed man in The Fugitive. I'm going to mention that. Katsulas left behind an acting legacy that will be enjoyed for generations to come. So there we go. That's their list, and I'll go through my list now. Anyway, so first on my list, I'm surprised a few of these didn't get mentioned. But first on the list is probably, in my opinion, the most damning omission. Michael Ansara, who played Kang in the original series, and then went on to play the Techno Mage Elric in the first season of Babylon 5. I think it was the what they call it, Soul Hunter episode. I think it was that one. So there we go. That's that one. Next on my list is Julia Nixon. She played Cassandra in Deep Space Nine. I think she also played, I think it's in TNG as a random officer. But she's also Catherine Sakai in Babylon 5, who was quite an important character. She had a relationship with Commander Sinclair. And she also, I think she's one of the few people that came across one of the old races in that weird area of space. So that that's Julia Nixon. Next up, another one that I think, why did they not mention Brad Dourif? Brad Dourif, who played Lon Suda in Voyager, would sacrifice himself to save the Voyager crew in the Basics, parts 1 and 2. And then in Babylon 5 he played Brother Edward. He kind of had a similar role to what is Voyager, because if I'm remembering rightly, Lon Suda were essentially like a serial killer, I suppose, on Voyager. Who'd suppress, he was a betazoid, and I think he like suppressed his need to kill, but then eventually murdered somebody on Voyager and ended up being restricted to quarters and all that. And in Babylon 5, his character turned out he was a serial killer in that as well, who, in a similar fashion, I suppose, to what happened to Lon Suda. Lon Suda were helped by Tuvok, using meditation and Vulcan mind meld and all that to suppress his violent tendencies. Well, Brother Edward had undergone a mind wipe for his crimes, and he joined a religious order, but then somebody recognised him. That you killed my family or whatever. Anyway, so there we go. That's Brad Dourif. John Vickery in Deep Space Nine. You'd know his face. He's got one of those faces. You think, oh, I know him. I've seen him. He played Gul Rasot in Deep Space Nine, and on Babylon 5 he played two characters. Probably most famous one, Naroon, the Minbari, who started out as a villain and ended up believing in Delen's mission or whatever, and sacrificed himself for Delen. And he also played Mr. Wells, who was I think a bit of a baddie from Earth, from the Night Watch. Then we had Robin Sachs, who played General Valen in Voyager. I can't remember the episode, but he played several people in Babylon 5. I think maybe they were all Nan. I could be wrong. They played Koplan, Hedron, War Leader Nakal, and War Leader Natok, or just Natok, whatever. So there we go. He also played Robin Sachs. Also played Saris in Galaxy Quest. Another one I'm surprised they missed out. John Shuck, who played the Klingon ambassador Kamarag in Star Trek 4 and 6. He played Antak, another Klingon, in Enterprise. He was the one that developed the virus or whatever that give Klingons smooth foreheads. And then they were Chorus number 2 in Voyager, in that episode The Muse, one they generally skip. And Legate Pan in Deep Space Nine. And in Babylon 5 he played Dral, who was a Minbari. He was Delen's mentor, and he would go down and replace the alien that were at the centre of the Great Machine down on Epsilon 3, and he went to replace that alien because that alien died. Next up, another one I'm surprised not mentioned, W. Morgan Shepherd, father of that other Shepherd fella. I forgot his bloody name now. Mark Shepherd, father of Mark Shepherd. Was also been in Star Trek, and the X-Files, and Firefly, and loads of stuff. And Supernatural. But anyway, W. Morgan Shepherd, he played the Vulcan minister in Star Trek 09, but, I won't hold that against him. He also played the Klingon prison governor, I presume it's a governor, I say governor, on Rura Pente in Star Trek 6. No witnesses! That fella. He played Katai in Voyager in the episode Bliss. That's the one with the alien that made everybody happy. They just flew into its mouth. It was like a nebula, didn't it? But it was an alien. And he first appeared in Next Generation as Dr. Ira Graves. And he wanted to transfer his consciousness, whatever, into Data, didn't he? So he'd live forever. So there we go. Something they kind of forgot about in the Next Generation. When they came around to Picard and stuff like that, they forgot that had been mentioned before. But anyway, in Babylon 5, he played the Soul Hunter in the episode I just mentioned. And he also played War Leader Gusten. Or Justin, I don't know. It'll be Justin, won't it? So there we go. Next up, another one I'm surprised I haven't mentioned because, I don't know, she's quite popular on social media. She does some cool posts. She seems a really nice lady. Patricia Tallman. In Voyager, she's played a lot of like uncredited roles she's done. In Voyager, a crewman and a Teresian woman. On Deep Space Nine, she played a character called Nima, a character called Nurse Tegan, and also a weapons officer. And on Star Trek Generations, she just played, a random officer. What else? And then in TNG, she played a security officer, Alien Number 2, and Kairos, which may have been in the Starship Mine episode, I think. But I could be wrong. And obviously in Babylon 5, she's famous for playing Lita Alexander, the telepath who went off to live with the Vorlons for a while, and then came back supercharged with telepathic powers, found that she could take on the shadows and all that stuff. A great character in my opinion. Anyway, off we go. Next up, Time Winters played Glyn Darrow in TNG in the episode The Wounded, and in Babylon 5 he played Rethen. Now, that name rings a bell, but I can't think where from. But anyway, there we go. I should have looked it up. I'm hopeless. But next up, Robert Foxworth. In Star Trek, he played Vulcan Administrator Valas in Enterprise, or a baddie. May have been a Romulan. I'm not entirely certain. Genetically altered to look like a Vulcan. I don't know. But anyway. And in Deep Space Nine, he played Admiral Layton, another villainous character. And in Babylon 5, he played General Haig. And I'm trying to think what episode we saw him in. I can't remember. Next up, Bernie Casey. In Star Trek, he played Calvin Hudson in Deep Space Nine in the episode The Maquis, or the two-part The Maquis. And in Babylon 5, he played a character called Derek Cranston. I can't remember. I remember seeing him, but I can't remember what he did. But anyway. Next up, John Fleck, who's been in quite a lot of Star Trek. I think he's most famous for playing Silic in Enterprise, a great villain. He played Abaddon in Voyager, and a Cardassian overseer, and a character called Ornithar, and another character called Koval in Deep Space Nine, and in TNG played a character called Tieback, or Tieback. But in Babylon 5, we were in the pilot episode, The Gathering, as Del Varner. Next up, another one I'm surprised I didn't mention in the Screen Rant list, David Warner. The late, great David Warner. Obviously played Gulmadred in Next Generation. I forgot what they called it now. Something of Command. Oh, God, what do they call it now? Whatever that one. That amazing two-parter. Where he tortures Picard. And obviously also played Gorkon in Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, and Sir John Talbot in Star Trek 5, The Final Frontier. And in Babylon 5, he played Aldous Gadgic in an episode, The Grail. So it was him that were looking for the Grail, I think it was. I think it was a little bit, loony. What was the name of that episode now? My mind blanks. It remembers some things, and then other things, it just can't bring them forward. We're not trying to get old kids. Next up, Gerrit Graham. Actually, I was thinking that name rings a bell, and when I saw it in the list, so I clicked on it. I thought, oh, of course, yes. In Voyager, he played Quinn, the Q Quinn, who they found in a comet, didn't he? And he wanted to die, and it was because of his death that started the civil war in the Q Continuum. And also in Deep Space Nine he played a hunter, which I can't remember which episode. It might have been that one. I don't know. Can't remember. But in Babylon 5 he played Lord Kiro, so I'm guessing that's a well, it is, because I remember it. I remember seeing him in Babylon 5, a Centauri nobleman. It might have been him that sort of like colluded with Malari over something. They had like a plan. It might have been to do with, wiping out the Narns or something like that, or taking out Emperor Cartagian, something like that. I can't remember. But I think it was a bit shifty. Next up, as they mentioned in the article, Christopher Neame played the German general in Enterprise. Oh, pardon me, Unferth. They played the German general in Enterprise in the episode. Oh God, my mind's blanking. Where they got back to Earth after the Zindi War, but history had changed and the Nazis had taken over part of America and and all that stuff. With the help of aliens. That one. Not coming to me. And in Voyager played Unferth in it was season 1 episode, I think. Heroes and Demons. It's something to do with holodeck, holograms and stuff like that. And as I mentioned, he played Night 2 in Babylon 5. I can't remember that. Next up, Stephen Macht. He played General Krim in Deep Space Nine in I think it was season 2, the season 2 episodes, where I think there'd been like another change of government on Bajor, and they wanted to take control of Deep Space Nine and, boot out all, foreigners, all aliens. They wanted to get rid of them all, didn't they? And I can't remember if it were a goodie or a baddie. I think it was a goodie. I think it was, a moderate, I think. Anyway, and in Babylon 5, he played Nafar. And I have no idea. It sounds Narn. Sounds Narn, doesn't it? So I'm guessing he played a Narn. Next up, Tucker Smallwood. Who's been in loads of stuff, but in Star Trek he played a Zindi primate in several episodes of the Enterprise during the Zindi arc in season 3. And he played Admiral Bullock in Voyager in the episode where they came across that space station operated by Species 8472. Where they appeared human and they recreated Starfleet Command, so that's where he was. And in Babylon 5 he played David Endawi, and I have no idea, I can't remember. And finally, I mentioned him earlier on, Eric Avari. He was in Enterprise, Deep Space Nine and Next Generation, and in Babylon 5 Rabbi Leo Mayers. So there we go, that was just the small list that I got. I say I'll probably only, I don't even know, I might not have been even halfway down the list of guest stars in Babylon 5, but there'll be even more, won't there? But anyway, so there we go. So I hope you found that interesting. So we'll leave it there. So thanks for watching, and wherever you are, look after each other, and until next time, I'll see thee.